a deal. I'll buy you a bike, and I'll buy myself one, and you and I will go dirt bike riding if you promise me you won't ride on the street. And then while they're a kid, you ride in the dirt, and then when they're grown up, at least then they...
And they gotta wear a helmet, and they gotta learn to fix their own bike.
Yeah.
That's
good. But you make a deal with them, because if you just say no, you're just going to make sure that they own a lot of bikes and you don't know about it. Gary, my good friend Gary Davis, one of the most prolific motorcyclists in the world, great stuntman, stunt coordinator, second unit director in Hollywood, and he owns, I think it's 269 motorcycles. He's the guy we all want to be, except maybe Jay Leno. He's the guy we all wish we were. When did you fall in love with bikes?
Pretty much the same as Tom, when I was about 13, you know. And I wanted one because everybody else, all my friends had motorcycles. All the older kids had motorcycles. And my first one was a Tohatsu 50. So it was wasn't quite as cool as the Hodaka, you know. And you had a Tohatsu? Most people don't know what a Tohatsu is. And then I came into the picture business much like Deb, only I came from the Daredevil world. Evel Knevel and I were rivals in the early 70s, and they needed someone in the picture business that could do that. So Sam Elliott was playing Evel Knievel in a television pilot for CBS that did never sell the series, probably fortunately for Sam Elliott's career. They needed someone that could jump 120 feet while they blew both ramps up. And I said, well, I can try that, I guess. So, and then they brought me there, and they fly you first class, they give you a great hotel room, they pay you per diem, and it was a wonderful life. I said, this is terrific. I'm used to traveling around with my ramps and paying everybody else all these things. So I thought I might stick around in the picture business for a while. And then, as Debbie knows, we get on shows, and believe me, we ride trash. The cars we drive that look like brand new cars are all wrecked cars that have been repainted. Most of them don't have brakes. The throttles don't work. They throttle stick. The motorcycles are absolute junk. And because they've seen the new X Games type guys now go out and jump and do a backflip in the middle of the jump, they figure, well, that's a motorcycle, so all motorcycles can do that. So the next week they give you a police Harley and say, now we want you to do a backflip off the top of this building while you're pursuing so-and-so. You know, they don't get it. So early on in my career I decided it was time to coordinate and call some of the shots and build some of the bikes that I needed to ride. So that's why the Captain America, the Marvel Comics Captain America bike back there and the Sidewinder 1 were both bikes that I built for the movies that I was performing on, so that I had something that could get me through the movie without killing myself.
Plus you race in Arma?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was...
Let me just tell you, because you'll never say this. You go to watch Gary race, and he'll have 10, 12, I don't know, a string of beautiful vintage bikes out there, ready to go. And he'll go from race, he'll come out, he'll run the race, he'll win or come second, hop off that bike, jump on, go right back out there, run the next race and the next bike, and come in first, second, always right at the top of the pack. It's amazing. And you'll do that all day long.
Well, sometimes. We all know that can't be true all the time, don't we?
It's a great story. Tell more movie stuff. Is there any more like working on certain projects?
Well, you know what, when Evel Knievel did Viva Knievel, he insisted that I be his double. So they brought me in to do the stuff, and at that time I'd made 312 public jumps and never crashed. And here in this movie I had 2 big crashes to do. So the first one, the white leather jump, I had to jump over about 130 feet of lions and tigers. There were Tippi Hedren's lions and tigers that were in cages but with no tops. And it didn't really matter to me what I was jumping over because I didn't plan on ending up between the ramps at any time. I mean, who cares if you're going to land on at that point? You're screwed. So the jump called me to do 75 miles an hour to make the jump. And I had to wreck. So I planned it out in my head, and I thought I had it pretty well worked out. But of course, as it gets closer and closer to the time when you have to do this, I'm getting a little nervous. But I made, you know, it was a big statement for me because coming into the picture business 3 years earlier, I came in 73, and this was 76. I'd only worked on movies that needed motorcycle riding done because that's all they figured I could do. And they were really only going to call me when it was, you know, wheelies or big jumps or something like that. Otherwise, there was plenty of good motorcycle riders in the picture business. And so this one, everybody heard about I was going to do it. So all the stunt coordinators and half the producers, directors in town showed up and were all in the audience. So they're setting 6 cameras, and I go to my starting position, and there's a production assistant with a microphone or a walkie-talkie there, and they say, "Okay, start the bike." And I start the bike up, and I'm warming the bike up, and the whole time I'm rehearsing in my head, okay, you're going to hit the ramp, you're going to keep the throttle on so the bike will rotate up around you, halfway through the jump, throw the bike away in the air, and land on the other ramp on your back. Now,
imagine doing that. I'm thinking and I'm feeling sick to my stomach thinking about it.
do you think you were sick to your stomach? So I'm telling myself to do all these things that are alien to me. I mean, through all the jumps that were successful, you develop muscle memory and habit, and you're used to doing all things right. And I was so afraid that my body was just going to take over and fix it in the air while I was doing the jump. So I kept talking to myself, and I kept talking to myself, and finally they say, "Okay, cameras are rolling, and action." Put the bike in gear. I'm going through the gears. I'm still talking to myself the whole time. I get to about 200 feet from the ramp. I'm doing about 65, 70 miles an hour. And Irwin Allen jumps out in front of me and waves me off and says, "I'm sorry, one of the cameras jammed." So I turn around. I mean, all this time I'm going at the ramp, my adrenaline's building and building and building, right? So I turn around and go back to the beginning. Now I'm becoming a little religious. You know? I'm looking, I'm going, okay, why did God stop that camera? Somebody doesn't want you to do this. And I start questioning myself. And Debbie, I'm sure can attest to this. One of the worst things you can do is start questioning yourself when you're about to do something really big, because if you don't commit, you're almost assuredly going to get hurt. You have to really go for it or walk away from it. So I get back to the back, and I'm waiting. My engine's running. Now I'm really sick. I don't know whether to throw up or which end of the bathroom to deal with. I'm really, really nervous, and I'm trying to talk myself back up, but I'm really talking myself out of this. And I came this close to turning. I mean, they said, "Shut the bike down, we have a problem." So now my bike's dead, and that's when I'm really talking to myself. And I'm trying to figure out who I should now drive to say, "Sorry, it's not going to happen today." I'm looking and thinking, well, if I go to Irwin Allen, he's going to be pissed. If I go, and I can't figure out who to go say, "I quit." And so while I'm just about to turn to the poor production assistant and maybe yell at him, and tell him to tell somebody that it's too late, I can't do this. Instead of them calling and saying, "Okay, tell Gary to start the motorcycle up, we're getting ready again," they just started screaming over the radio, "Action, action, action." And it's the only reason I was able to do this, because it scared me so much that my adrenaline came back. I started the bike off and took off without even thinking. I'm going through all my gears going, "Oh, crap." You know? And I hit the ramp, I loop the bike over, toss the bike away, which doesn't go very far away, just gets a little bit out of your arm's reach. And I land on my back on the other ramp. And I knew at that point that I could have probably slid to a stop over the next couple hundred feet with my hands in the air. And but it calls for him to get hurt. So I was given no choice but to dig my heels in halfway down the ramp. And that started the end over end over end. And when I finally settled in at the final, I knew that was my last turnover. I was losing speed, and so I tried to make myself look as contorted as I could when I finally settled in. And then in the rest of the scene, the crowd rushes to me with cameras and stuff, and I can't hear them yell "cut." So they yell "cut," and everybody knows that, and I'm still laying there because I haven't heard that. So they're pretty sure that I'm dead. Irwin Allen was positive he killed me. And,
see, for those of you who don't shoot film, you don't want to screw up. The last thing you want to do is ruin the end of the shot by moving too soon. So you had to just, if you don't hear a cut, you got to keep going.
And which I did, and I was lucky. I didn't break anything.
Wow.
I passed blood for a couple of days, but that healed. Yeah. Well, you know what? One of the greatest, in my heart, the greatest stunt driver in the picture business was a man named Kerry Lofton. And when I first got in the business, I was mentored by Bud Eakins and Kerry Lofton. And Kerry Lofton said to me once, if you can't do a stunt twice, don't attempt it the first time. And I might have broken that rule because I don't know that I'd have done that if it went twice, you know?
We